Well, let's head back to the studio now, do some more politics. And with me is Dr. Adomako Kissi. He speaks for Dr. Bryan Acheampong. On Saturday, delegates of the opposition New Patriotic Party will elect a flag bearer to lead the party into the 2028 elections. Dr. Bryan Acheampong is one of the contestants, and his spokesperson, Dr. Kissi, joins us this morning. We're grateful to have you in studio with us once again. Now, Dr. Bryan Acheampong has been around the country. So far, with days to go, how's it been? How will you describe his campaign?
Well, let me say hello to your viewers, and more importantly, this last hour, the delegates who will be voting. I must admit, when we started off this campaign, it was very difficult and seemed unsurmountable.
Right.
But over the past 4 months, we've been able to come to their various homes through all kinds of means, either in person, which he's visited all 276 constituencies in this country, or by virtue of television, radio, social media, TikTok handles, and all the various avenues of coming to them. And one of the key messages that we've been pushing is the fact that a dual carriage road is better than a one lane. And what I mean by that is that the likes of Kennedy, if he should come, is one lane. The likes of Vice President, if he should come, is one lane. But if we have the two in one combo, which is Dr. Bryan Acheampong, who embodies the two candidatures, their as it is, claim to fame, either business prowess, either political experience, or as it is, the boldness in Kennedy, then we think that Dr. Bryan Acheampong stands as an embodiment of the two. Now, in one very key thing, we also feel that the followers of the two individuals, who are the titans, I should say, are not ready to work with the other half, should one win. And I think that for the MPP, which is with a 2 million deficit in votes, to win general election in this country, you need the two sides to gel. If not, it's going to be very difficult for us to make up the deficit which we are now with in terms of 4 million compared to 6 million where we were at in 2020. So it's a very huge task. And may I also add that many have asked why he's joined the race. And let me say that categorically that from Idubuahe's time, every flag bearer brought home more votes than the predecessor. This is the only time in our history, in the MPP, where a flag bearer goes to battle and comes home with far less votes than his predecessor. And I say this in the sense that in 2016, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo came in with a gap of 1 million and was around 6 million. And then in 2020, he managed to stay there, even though the voting population had increased. And then come 2024, for various reasons, including governance and candidature, we rather dived down to 4 million. So as it stands, just borrowing from the fact that Mahama used 8 years to close the 1 million gap, this 2 million gap, invariably, should we present the same candidate, will take us 16 years.
Well, talking about numbers, the polls have consistently put Dr. Bryan Acheampong trailing behind Dr. Bawumia and Kennedy Agyapong, around 3 to 5%, as against 40%, 50%, 51%. And do you think the polls are wrong, or that there's a real challenge with the Bryan Acheampong team?
Well, polls are very important, admittedly. However, I think that it has not been a true reflection of our delegates. And polling the general population is one thing. Polling delegates who are very sophisticated is another thing. And I say this with the greatest of respect. I think that the average MPP delegate is more sophisticated than your street person doing politics. They know how to, as it is, talk to interviewees. They've interviewed so many times that if you're not careful, they will lure you in the wrong path. They do it to even us who are, as it is, either candidates or people campaigning to them, to the extent that if you're not careful, your line of questioning will give you, as they say, garbage in, garbage out. Your line of question might lead you to think in a certain way when they decide to give you. And I must also admit that, delegates are very tricky, especially nearing the end. And these last 3 days might be the best time to actually do the poll and to reflect on it. And if you poll now, I think by virtue of some of the happenstance, in fact, the fact that some have left the vice president's, arena to either campaign themselves or to, as it is, campaign for a different candidate.
Really?
Oh, I mean, I can even cite the likes of former Common Fund Administrator, Natoshi, who was a very powerful supporter in Greater Accra for vice president. So some of these blocks that have left leave not just with their family, they leave with quite a good number. And I think that one of the key things from the poll, which I look at carefully, is the fact that many have moved from one place into an undecided pool. And I think that this election will largely be decided on by those who claim they are undecided.
But with the example you just gave, she's not moved to the Bryan camp, has she?
No.
So the question I want to ask is, what specific thing can you point to that the Bryan camp is actually, building momentum to win this contest?
One very interesting thing, which I should add, we are the only, team that has toured the entire country and revisited some portions of the country. Dr.Bryan Acheampong felt that he had left Greater Accra for a long time as he toured the rest of the country. So he came back to Greater Accra and retoured Greater Accra. He went back to the Eastern region and retoured the Eastern region, and he's gone back to Ashanti. So if you look at even all the three leading contenders, as it stands now, he's the only one that has revisited the same region and done the whole region. And that is not reflective in the current poll, because these polls were done before his second engagement in the various constituencies. So I think that in all of this too, one thing is key. Dr.Bryan Acheampong has really excited the base of this party more so than any of the other candidates. The new energy he brought into this election and the dynamics that he's brought into it has added more excitement to the base. And I feel strongly that either way, considering where we were and now to be even considered one of the three leading, I think that is quite an achievable, monumental, successful thing for our campaign. And I really think that in the few days left, depending on the engagements that the various candidates will have with the delegates, it will be so telling. If we're not careful, which I'm hoping against, there might be a runoff, and then many things may happen.
He has that clout to run into a runoff.
Well, what I'm saying is that there might be a runoff in the sense that I saw some polls even putting the leading person at 45%, and in this game, you need to be above 50% to win.
But aggregately, when we put these polls together, Dr. Bawumia is hovering around 51%, and so he still has a commanding lead over your Bryan Acheampong.
Well, this happens to be so, not surprisingly, in the sense that he's run elections before, and that leverage.
Better known, and he's
that
because
leverage,
of that, he's better known. So why will a delegate, choose Bryan Acheampong over a better known candidate like Dr. Bawumia?
No, you see, it's not about. Maybe you might say that after 16 years in politics, in terms of being at the limelight, you're known. You can admit that. But the thing is that, what are you known for? After all of the 16 years, we rather ended up with a dip in our gains. And that is why I think that a new phase will sell better. For whatever reasons, in as much as Ghanaians knew him for 16 years, the results spoke, not in favor. And for that reason, you may be known for the wrong reasons in life, though, it is what it is. So I'm more inclined to think that looking at all of the MPP presidential candidates in the past, nobody had ever been, as it is, vice president before running. And he had the privilege of being vice president or even a running mate. And that total 16 years gave us 4 million votes.
But if that's the argument you're putting forward, somebody could also say that President Mahama, who is president now, did not really do well in the 2016 election. He came back and he's been re-voted into power, to come back. In fact,
come back after 8 years.
They come back after 8 years. However, he still came back. Yeah. So even if Dr. Bawumia has a dip now, and he comes back again, he has an appeal with the larger popularity. And so if the NPP chooses him, he has a better marketing,
I think Mahama,
advantage over your client.
Mahama year on was not dipping from 4 million to 2 million. And that is very important. Mahama was adding on, except for the fact that the MPP was also appreciating. From 1 million, the second election was literally under 500,000. So invariably, either the MPP lost some or Mahama added on.
Right.
So that argument really doesn't necessarily, we're not comparing very well in the sense that Mahama was increasing. If it's even by 50 votes, he was increasing. He didn't go down. There's the only one case where our fresh candidate at that time, Dr. Bawumia, rather dipped by 2 million votes. And in all of this, I also think that, Ghanaians also get tired sometimes of seeing the same face over and over. And even in politics, it's very well known that for the MPs, for instance, the longer you stay, the less you vote. I mean, it's just by nature of politicking. So I think that we presented a new candidate in the person of Dr.Bryan Acheampong, who is very resourceful, very careful in his, oration, and he has the knowledge base, has the business experience, has the political experience, and is, with no encumbrance to one particular faction. And I think that when we should vote and vote for bringing the party together, then the candidate that will do that for us will be Dr. Bryan Acheampong.
Dr. Kissi, let's pause. In the studio, still have with me Dr. Adomako Kissi, who speaks for Bryan Acheampong's camp in the NPP's race for a flag bearer. Dr. Adomako Kissi, we're grateful that you're still here with us. We've taken much of your time. But just to, tell us more about what's happening in your camp. I mean, it's a few days to the D-Day, which is just Saturday. Yeah. I'd like to know, really, to be honest with us.
Yeah.
You really believe that Bryan will win, or this is a matter of positioning for a future comeback?
I mean, he made it clear that he's not into test waters. And I think, to borrow from his own words, Dr. Bryan Acheampong is in to win the race. I mean, nobody actually goes into politics positioning himself for another time, but invariably, as Ghanaian politics is, in many instances, you keep going until you win. But as it stands now, some have come once and won. And we know the likes of Liman. We know the likes of even Rollins. So there's always that opportunity to go once and do it once. And I think that should the delegates give him a chance, he stands really tall and can match any NDC person. So in all of this, it's also very important that the delegates be mindful of the fact that whoever our candidate becomes will be matching an outsider. And for that reason, it is very crucial, to borrow from the words of Dr. Bawumia, should a Northerner come after a Northerner, it's going to be difficult. And that should be also one of the factors that we need to look at carefully, in the sense that, will Ghanaians agree to having John Dramani Mahama from the northern region, and then another following Right after that, somebody from the northern region. These are the words of the former vice president. And I think that that is also very crucial in terms of the strategy for winning the 2028 election. And we need to be mindful of that as delegates as we go to the poll. This is not being necessarily tribalistic. It's just a reality of politicking. And as it stands, I think that all of these factors, more importantly, who will MPP be matching? And if we're matching the NDC, which of these candidates has less baggage? Which of these candidates can machinate against any of the NDC?
So if you're to make an elevator pitch to a very skeptical delegate who for all these months have been following and still not convinced, what would you tell that person to change his mind?
I think that whilst we're in power, we literally gave away the power. We need somebody like Dr.Bryan Acheampong who is security conscious, intelligence conscious. That is his field. And to wrestle power from the NDC is not going to be your usual talk. You know, just rhetoric. No, we need somebody who has the means and ways to, as it is, get us seats in Parliament, and then in addition to that, we get the presidency. From 88, we need to lift ourselves back to about 137 again or more. Then presidency is guaranteed. In this country, if you cannot win the parliamentary seats, forget presidency. And I think that one of the core strengths of Dr.Bryan Acheampong, compared to the other candidates, he took 25 seats to war and brought home 24, unlike all the others, to the extent that even with the vice presidency, Bahama entered his zone and took 3 of his seats. So I'm mindful and I'm guided, and I think that if not for anything, the delegates should look at a candidate who can win us more seats in Parliament, and then we are getting nearer and closer to winning the presidency. 2028 is not going to be easy. As a serious political party, if we don't work on getting our seats, we should forget the presidency. And I think that Dr.Bryan Acheampong, by virtue of his parliamentary experience, he's a 4th-term member of Parliament, by virtue of his experience with Jacob Ichebilamte, he knows MPP, he understands MPP, and more importantly, he's been with us through the mill, and that makes him a very well qualified, capable candidate. And he's a nice guy, for crying out loud. Very nice guy, fantastic. He loves sports, and you should watch him swimming. He's very good. I don't swim well, but I always admire when I see him swimming. Very fantastic. And I think that if you have a candidate who's all-rounder, is good. So soon there'll be major swim meets in Ebitifi, largely because of Dr.Bryan Acheampong.
Dr.Bryan Acheampong. Well, I mean, only yesterday we've been hearing from Professor Frimpong Boateng, also Dr. Nyao Talmaklo, making the exhibition, even going to the Supreme Court, that the delegate system must be scrapped. Give it a wider space, for everybody at all to compete, in this race. What do you make, or what do you think Brian makes of this?
So largely, I am of the school of thought that our vetting process for those who should even stand should be very carefully looked at, more so than even those who would vote. If we embark on a journey where your acumen, your ability to read and write, to answer very rigorous questions are tested before we present you to the people who vote, then you'd get to a point where there'll be, as it is, very capable, well-educated, very knowledgeable people with resources to be even allowed to stand. And I think that if we had done that, in some instances, some of the category of people we have, even in Parliament, would not make it. In the sense that I think that the parliamentary work is quite rigorous, and we need to, as it is, make sure that the candidates that we have what it takes to do parliamentary work, so that we don't lose out as a country. In addition to ensuring that the crop of people we are presenting to Ghanaians are quality. I think that we move from few to more to take this decision. This delegate conference we're going to make this decision, we're well over 200,000. And I think it is a mirror, really, of what Ghanaian decisions will be. If we reduce the numbers or broaden, the NDC experimented that in 2015, I think, and they reverted to using just their branch level people because managing those numbers is really like running a general election, for just your presidential candidate.
But doesn't it skew it to just a little few or a few who may, if you open it up, there's the creativity, there's the more, versatility in the quality of the people.
When you open it up, if you're not careful, your opposition party will be the first to take your party cards. And at any point in time, they will rather vote for you, a candidate that will fail your general elections. And that is a worry. So I think that there should be very good checks and balances of the candidate we present. And then maybe we should also have very good checks and balances of the people who actually take a decision. I mean, invariably, I think that I will be more long-term thinking in terms of the things that I consider in a candidate, more so than others. And as it stands now, my vote is as equal as anybody who is as clueless as to what politicking is. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that, if we carefully selected those who vote as a delegate, a lot of people may not cut it. People who cannot even, as it is, be aware of the current happenings in the world or current happenings in the country. And all they know is one way. If they say jump, they say how high. If they say sit, they say how low. Those are not the people that can be making a decision for us and about our candidature. And some of the people who are lost in terms of the understanding of the true history of the MPP fraternity should not qualify. I think that, they will make a case. It's almost as if you tell us Ghanaians that anybody who qualifies and does not vote is in trouble. That is not the argument. In this country, not all of us who are registered to vote necessarily vote. That is why the turnout is always smaller. So I think that it is invariably much to do about nothing, but it's okay to entertain their idea. And the fact that, I think that looking at the Singaporean way, they really check carefully those they present. And that might be one of the ways that we should look at. I mean, the Brits just recently
take us some time to get there.
Blocked somebody from considering even running an election. And I really think that as a party, where we should move towards to is that we ensure that the creme de la creme, of chairpersons, the creme de la creme, people who truly embody and project what MPP truly is, should be presented to the people for them to vote. And that will sieve some of the, as it is, elements that are foreign to MPP's tradition.
At this point in time, how will you describe the state of the MPP?
We are shaping up better. I think after the 31st, as they say, it will be Ankadem. After the 31st, many of us will throw engagements and realign with whoever wins. And I think that I must admit, through the entire campaign, I haven't been insulted. I haven't necessarily spoken ill of any of the candidates. I have been more very objective and talking about the system that may help us better. And I'll continue, regardless of a win or lose, projecting Dr.Bryan Acheampong, because I think that his candidature is ripe for Ghana, and no matter what, I will not stop projecting my candidate, because I think that Ghana needs a candidate of his stature with the business experience, the proven government track record, and the knowledge that he has. It will benefit Ghana. In fact, many countries have succeeded largely by a few good men who pushed the country forward. And I can cite the likes of the Bill Gates in the world, who might not have been necessarily even in government, but by the things he's done that are very innovative, have pushed the country. And I must admit that, I think that considering the fact that we need to bring people on board when they are younger, one of the unfortunate bits is that we delayed Nanado so much. And I think that Ghanaians sometimes, we delay so much in allowing people at their peak of excellence to work. And I say this, look at the Macrons, very young. Even Obama was, in his early 40s when he became president of the free world. Look at Trump, and at his age, chaotic. He may have been a very fantastic guy, maybe when he was, in his 50s, to manage the affairs of the country. So I really think that let's trust the youth, you and I. Sometimes it's even rather the youth that are fighting the youth who are trying to get something. The youth, it is about time we support our own. We support the young. So
you agree
nothing
with
against
the proposal by the Constitutional Review Committee that the age of the presidency should be lowered to 35?
I think 35, not bad. I mean, neighboring countries with the coup d'etat, how old are their presidents? Tuari is less than 40, I think. Yeah. And this other guy with 2 wives. I mean, listen, so I really think that the young, for crying out loud, the entire Facebook company, the guy runs an industry bigger than the entire Ghana's budget. The likes of Zoom, Zuckerberg, Zoom, and all these people. These young guys are running economies bigger than the entire country. So, and let me just cite, it was always interesting to see former President, Nanado with Macron. And I'm like, listen, the guy is younger, his economy is way bigger than us, and it is the nature of things. So I really think that our country need to, as it is, have faith in the young and allow us to govern. And then the elderly ones, shape us as we veer off. And I think that it will help our country grow and grow better. Mujamuno, Abrantier, it helps. It helps, even in sports.
Mujamuno.
Even in sports.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Adomako Kissi, for joining us.
Mami, thanks for having me.
Grateful, yes. And that was Dr. Adomako Kissi from the Bryan Acheampong camp. That's bringing us to the end of this conversation. We'll take a break. We'll be back.
11:20.
And this has been Johnny's Desk with me, Mami Sinyamiche Thompson. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. We see you again tomorrow.